This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, the Knicks go for 9 in a row. We'll see if they got 9 lives. I don't know if you guys caught that, but anyway, they go for 9 in a row tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Knicks play the Toronto Raptors at 7:30 p.m. Madison Square Garden. And I think the big news right now is Quentin Grimes may be out. And so the question is, who steps into that starting lineup if Quentin Grimes is out? Right? So just a quick, I'll read off the injury report for the Knicks. Quentin Grimes is
Chat
doubtful.
says there's an echo.
There's an echo? I don't know. I don't know why there's an echo. I'll check. I don't know what I can do because I can't hear it. But anyway, hopefully it clears up because I don't see anything wrong.
All right, they say we good.
Okay. It must have just been Knicks Worldwide. I heard an echo for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, where do the Knicks go if Quentin Grimes is out? Because Quentin Grimes is questionable with a left ankle, with his ankle, ankle sprain or whatever. And then for the Toronto Raptors, they got a number of people out. The Raptors do. They have Gary Trent Jr. is out. Otto Porter is out. Precious Achiuwa is out. Ken Burch is questionable. Actually, Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. He's not out. So they got a few people that's out. But the big thing for the Knicks is Quentin Grimes. He's doubtful with a right ankle sprain, not left. He's doubtful. I don't know. Where do you go from there? I mean, normally Quentin Grimes is in that starting lineup, but if he's out, do you go with Quickly? I don't like the way the matchups look with Quickly in that starting lineup. So I'm looking at the starting lineup right now with Emmanuel Quickly. And if Quickly's in that lineup, you got Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickly, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. And then for the Raptors, it's Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and then Hernan Gomez. Who does Quickly match up with in that scenario?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If he matches up with Scotty Barnes, he's gonna take him in the post all day long. Anunoby, same thing. Siakam, same thing. And if any of them match up, if Brunson matches up with any of those guys, it's going to be the same thing. In my opinion, you have no choice but to start Cam.
That's right.
Right? That's how I see it. You've got to start Cam in this situation. This is situational. Right? So, I think that's what you have to do. Tony, what's your thoughts on it, man?
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I felt like this Toronto team is a bad matchup for us regardless. You know what I mean? Whether Grimes was in or not. I was coming in prepared to talk about that. Not necessarily saying if Grimes was healthy to not start him or whatever, but the fact that this is a length team, you know what I mean? All across the board, these guys, like, that's their strength. That's the type of guys they draft, they trade for, you know what I mean? So I agree. If Grimes is out, you got to go with Cam. And even looking at the logic of Tibbs, I don't know if he does it, but I mean, he's the only other guy besides Fournier that has started right at that position.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you've never done it with or you haven't done it with Quickly this year. So the defense, the length of Cam, you know what I mean? I think he fits best for the matchup of Toronto. You know what I mean? If this was another team that we were going against and Grimes is potentially out, maybe I say Quickly, maybe I say even Fournier, whatever. But against this team, you gotta give Cam a look.
Got to. You got to. I mean, it just makes sense. You know what I mean? If they do go with Cam, then the lineups look more like it's just it looks better. Jalen Brunson, Fred VanVleet, Cam Reddish, Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, O.G. Anunoby, Julius Randle, Pascal Siakam, Mitchell Robinson, and Hernan Gomez. Right? It matches up better. Cam Reddish can play defense as well. So I think that's the smart way to go. You never know, you know what I'm saying? You never know with Tom Thibodeau, what he decides to do. But I think that has to be the way to go, right? If you look at the matchups with IQ in there, ladies and gentlemen, you can see how it just doesn't work. There's too much of a mismatch for the Toronto Raptors to exploit with Scotty Barnes on Quickly, or Quickly on Scotty Barnes. And, you can say the other way, well, Quickly would be able to exploit his matchup on the other side, but I don't know if he would.
Sim, you could take all of that out of the equation and just say putting Quickly in the starting lineup just depletes our bench, our second unit.
It does, right?
You
Right.
know what I mean? So again, going with Cam, even I think Kerry Cox says Fournier starting. Even if you go with Fournier, Cam more importantly, because it doesn't change that whole defensive aspect. You know what I mean? Like you could rely on that aspect, and everything could kind of fit in seamlessly. But even if you put Fournier in, that keeps that bench unit still strong. You know what I mean? It doesn't take anything away from that second unit. So I think in no scenario should we actually start Quickly.
I don't think so either.
Because of his value in that second unit.
Right. I don't think so either. And if Cam starts, here's the matchups. Defensive matchups, in my opinion. Jalen Brunson on Fred VanVleet, Cam Reddish on Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett on Anunoby, Julius Randle on Siakam, and Mitchell Robinson on Hernan Gomez. To me, that makes more sense defensively. So I guess we'll see exactly what Tom Thibodeau decides to do and how he adjusts the lineups if Quentin Grimes is out tonight. Again, he is he's more than questionable. But what's the word? He's doubtful. You know what I mean? He's doubtful for tonight. And this is where, when people talk about having depth, right? This is where that depth comes in. You know what I mean? If you haven't, you have enough depth to be able to win basketball games, compete in basketball games, even though you got guys injured. This is where it comes in. And I'm already just a little bit, I don't like these kinds of games, right? The Knicks are on an 8-game win streak. The Toronto Raptors are on a 6-game losing streak. It's easy for the Raptors to come in a little bit more desperate than the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Because the Knicks feeling good about themselves. Oh, we've won 8 straight. When you're winning, you start to overlook the little things that you do. Hopefully the Knicks aren't doing that. And when you're losing, you're focusing on all the little things you're doing wrong and trying to get a win. So you're a little bit more desperate. The Knicks have got to make sure that they match the Toronto Raptors' desperation and intensity tonight in order to get this win, I think. It's naturally going to be a tough game between the Raptors and the Knicks. They always have tough, grind out type of games. And the matchups, you know what I mean? The matchups are I don't know if they favor anybody, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? This is a tough basketball game. Makes it tougher with the possibility of Quentin Grimes being out. You know what I mean? And, they have a little Scotty Barnes starting at the shooting guard spot. He's 6'8". I mean, they're long and all of these guys can score the basketball. All of these guys are averaging, besides Hernan Gomez, 17 points and above or whatever. So this is definitely going to be a tough one for the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie F., thank you for the super chat. He said, I'm a longtime fan now, but what about quick starts and Fournier plays his spot off the bench? It's not about Fournier quickly though. You know what I mean? It's not about that at all. It's about the matchups and the way that they look. You know what I mean? It's not about quickly earn the right to start and stuff like that. It's about the matchups and the size mismatches that could be caused or created if you start Emmanuel quickly. So it's not like you're starting Emmanuel quickly and you can put either him or Brunson on someone who doesn't score the basketball, right? Every single one of these guys in the starting lineup, except for maybe Hernan Gomez, can go out and get you a bucket. But if you put Quickly or Brunson on Hernan Gomez, he's at least good enough to post up that guy, to post up one of them two. So I don't think that's even an option. I think the smart thing to do is to start Cam Reddish and, even out that lineup. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the best thing to do. He's a situational player right now, and this is a situation where I think he's needed. You know what I mean? I think he's needed in this situation. Now, if you start him, you leave the bench the same.
And I think another thing is why I say Cam, because like you're saying, it's such a position where I don't even think increasing Deuce's role or going with Rose, like these things don't necessarily help because they're such a tall and long team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe Brunson and his strength can play some of these twos on that squad, and Deuce could get an increased role there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that could work. But I wouldn't necessarily start Deuce and move Brunson up.
Right.
But throughout the game, I also think we could see some small ball lineup with Randall at the 5,
mm-hmm.
or even with that bench unit we've been seeing, obviously Sims and Hartenstein, that could be very effective tonight.
Right.
In that second unit.
Now, Scotty P said move Barrett to the 2 and bring Sims in at the 4. That means you're moving Randall to the 3. Is that something you think he would do?
I don't know if he'll do it, but that's something we might see throughout the game as well.
I think you could definitely see it. But if he doesn't want to play Cam Reddish or Evan Fournier, maybe they just don't want to play him. They're like, we're trading you. We don't want to risk any kind of injury. Would he do it then?
I mean, then you got to go one of those routes. The big or the
small,
the big
route.
lineup,
or the small lineup. Or you got to go one of those routes. I mean,
but even moving, I would prefer to move Sims up into the starting lineup. I like that idea more than Quickly moving up, just because let that second unit be as strong as it could be, because their second unit isn't a slouch. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's not a slouch second unit at all. As a matter of fact, I don't know what I just. Oh, my bad. Accidentally took that off. The bench unit, they got Malachi Flynn, Ken Birch, who we'll see if he's playing tonight. I think he's questionable. Boucher, Young, Thaddeus Young, that is. They have a formidable bench. Their bench units over the last 8 games. This is over the last 8 games for both bench units. Their bench unit over the last 8 games is averaging 30 points a game, 14 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 2.9 steals, 1.5 blocks. They shoot 46% from the field and 33% from 3. The Knicks bench unit over the last games has been the best defensive bench unit in the league. They're averaging 26.5 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, just under a block, 5.5 turnovers, shooting 43% and 33% from the three-point line. Right? And I got quickly on the bench, assuming that he does not get elevated to the starting role tonight. So, we'll see. I mean, listen, I think it only makes sense to start Cam. He's been in that, he started with the unit before. You know what I'm saying? It keeps the bench unit the same. You still get someone in that unit that can play some defense. He's going to be a little bit in desperation mode, probably, right? Because he wants to prove that he belongs in the rotation at least. And maybe looking at this as, hey, this is my shot to, win some grace back, So it could be a good situation overall.
Kerry Cox now he says Slavy is at the 2 he started. I feel like now you just throw things and see what sticks to the wall.
No, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Ain't no way. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be Cam. I think it'll be Cam starting at the shooting guard tonight. My only concern with bringing Sims in and moving RJ to the 2 is how slow does the lineup does the lineup become too slow? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's big and clunky, in my opinion.
Do you think Hart and Sling next to Robinson makes for a better pairing?
That might. It's still big and clunky, but it might make a better pairing because of his passing ability and his shooting ability. And then he spreads the floor. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I can see that.
Now that you think about it, having Sims and Robinson out there.
Yeah.
No, that's not gonna work. It would have to be Hart and Sting. Can't do that. You can't have Sims and Robinson out there. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That wouldn't be. I don't think that'd be smart at all.
Hey Josh, it's not that we don't like Sleep. We just don't think he's gonna start.
Right. I don't got nothing against the guy. I just don't think. I don't think you're taking a guy who only plays during blowouts and elevating him over a guy who's been in the starting unit before. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think you do that. I don't think you're doing that. You know what I mean? I mean, there are certain situations where you might do it. I don't think this is one because you got a guy in Cam who's been in that unit already and is probably a better defender. So I don't think you do it.
My question to you is this, Sim. If Cam and Fournier get no playing time again tonight, it's done, right? Like
it's done.
There's no shot of
ain't no
reconciliation.
Shot. I don't think there's any. If neither one of those guys play tonight and he goes with 8, let's say he elevates Hartenstein. Because I see still Knicks fans said, but that big lineup becomes defensive. It does become defensive, but it also clogs up a lot of area in that paint. You know what I'm saying? Because neither one of those guys are going to step outside of that paint much to bring their defenders out. So now how do you get any penetration at the rim?
Offensively, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Defensively, I think it could work just because I think Sims is actually that good at guarding the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
So he could probably stay with. I mean, it's going to be a task, but he could he could spell some minutes against Siakam. You know what I mean? Guarding him on the perimeter, and he could be effective against him in the paint as well. It's the offensive end that I think it does get clunky and cloggy.
Yeah, it does, man, because now you're talking about two guys that's waiting for lobs. You know what I mean? No room for Jalen Brunson to get inside and, get his inside game on, or Julius Randle to get inside, or RJ to get inside. There's no room at all. Hartenstein, even though he's not hitting the three, they're gonna at least respect it. You know what I mean? And he has the ability to pass, from that elbow. So if you're gonna go in that direction, I think it would be Hartenstein that you go with. And then move RJ to the 2, Randall to the 3, and go with Hartenstein.
And to be honest, I could see that being what happens. And him not even going to camp. You know what I mean? Like I hope he goes to camp. I hope he does. Like, this is like a fair opportunity for him. You know what I mean? Like, and it reinforces what you preach about staying ready. And he said, none of this is forever. He said that, or however he worded it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Just because that's gotta hurt you on the bench to know, all right, this is a prime opportunity, and nothing.
And you still ain't getting no burn. I mean,
and it's tough to be a loyal or a positive teammate when stuff like this happens.
Right.
But again, we on a win streak. Guys, stay happy on the win streak.
But that makes it so obvious and clear.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, maybe they already know, like Cam, Fournier, they already know, like, that's it. I'm not playing. We just might not know. And obviously he's going to say to the public, this ain't forever. These guys could get back in whatever situation arises, blah, 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 blah. But they may have already communicated to them, like, look, we're not going to make a big thing out of it. Let's all figure out what we're going to do. And they agreed, all right, we'll sit on the bench until the trade is executed or something like that. So, we'll see. Hopefully, this is, we talked last night a little bit about, I don't know how much if this is adversity, but we talked about how, something is going to happen, and we'll see how the team responds. And right now, their best perimeter defender could not play tonight, and we'll see how they respond to that situation. You know what I mean? So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see tonight, ladies and gentlemen, 7:30 p.m. The Knicks. People making.
I didn't see Kerry Cox say it, but still Knicks fan said, that's a thought. What if we promote Jeffries? And then shout out to Kerry Cox. So I don't know if Kerry Cox said that or what.
Daquan Jeffries. Alawar said Trevor Kills will start before Cam. That's foul. It's messed up. It's messed up. I don't know. We'll see. I broke down all of the team comparisons based on the last 8 games. So we can kind of see what the teams are doing. Again, the Knicks 8-0 in the last 8 games, and the Toronto Raptors have lost 6 in a row. The Knicks are 18.
But some of them were close against good teams.
Yep. And the numbers are not that far apart between the teams over the last 8 games as far as, what they're actually doing on the court. The Knicks are 18-13, 8-0 in the last game. Last 8 games, the Toronto Raptors are 13-18, and they're on a 6-game losing streak. All right, the Knicks are averaging 115 points per game, 50.8 rebounds, 21.4 assists, 7.6 steals, 4.1 blocks. A little high on the turnover side, 15.5 turnovers, 45% from the field, and 37% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. The Raptors aren't shooting well. They average 111.8 points, only 40 rebounds, 21 assists, 7.5 steals, 4.4 blocks, low turnovers, 10.8 turnovers per game, They shoot 44.5% from the field and 30.9% from three, shooting 82.1% from the free throw line. So really the numbers are only the same around the assists, steals, and blocks. Everything else, the Knicks have, an advantage. Well, not in the turnover department. The Raptors only averaging 10.8 turnovers. The Knicks 15.5. I think the Knicks should.
No,
The Knicks should
I
be
wish you
able
could.
to
I wish
win.
we.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
My bad. I wish we could go back and see what those exact stats would look like 8 games ago. You know what I mean? Because we're on an upward swing, they're on a downward swing,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those numbers aren't that far apart. You know what I mean? So it's this may be like the biggest test we've had in the last 5 games or so.
Yeah, this is gonna be a test. It's definitely gonna be a test for the Knicks tonight, I think, because the Raptors. It's always a tough game against the Raptors, no matter what the record is. It's a tough game. Now you got your best perimeter defender out. You got to make some kind of adjustment to the lineup. Well, he's not out yet. He's doubtful. Not out yet though. The Raptors, by the way, are 1-7 in their last 8 games, on a 6-game losing streak, and they're 1-7 in the last 8 games. So here we go. And when you look at the Raptors, people, there was the report that came out that the Knicks had considered reaching out to the Raptors for OG Anunoby, right? And maybe even reached out to him, to have some discussions before they went on this winning streak. Where would you see OG fitting on this team? I mean, are you looking at that? I don't know exactly what a package would look like. And the Toronto Raptors, with where they are now, they, I don't know. I don't know where they feel they are right now, and if they're ready to just start over. But what would would you welcome OG on this team, especially if you could get him and just add him to the bench without giving up significant players, like we would talk about doing with DeMar DeRozan?
Absolutely. Again, if it's not costing us, RJ, I would definitely want to do it. I know there's a lot of Knicks fans and a lot of people that would even include RJ, and I'm not opposed to it per se, but my preference is to pair them,
Yeah,
rather than separate them, because
right.
he's obviously a better defender than RJ is.
Mm-hmm.
And then his numbers are, he's on a tear this year, for at least. You know what I mean? He's looking like RJ numbers in the past, you know what I mean, but a better defender. So I get the argument of people saying he's better than RJ, or he will be, and etc. I rather pair him. The question is that price. And forget what we want to give up, willing to give up, not willing to give up. It's about the front office, right? So it could be a couple of things. Did they make a mistake in their negotiations for the Mitchell deal? Or did they have a line that they weren't willing to cross and stood their ground?
Right.
Let's say they stood their ground. Now it becomes, well, how do you feel about this player?
Right.
Is he on a higher stature than Mitchell or lower? And
right.
then, where does that line get drawn in that trade? Because it really don't matter what we're willing to give up. I don't want to give up 3 picks. It's about them. They're making those decisions. So you gotta try to look at it through their lens, through their brain. You know what I mean? I would think they were higher on Mitchell than they are on OG. I say that as the
Right.
front office, not for Tibbs. Tibbs might have a whole different mentality and mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because OG is definitely a Tibbs guy. You know what I mean? if he was in that front office, he may be willing to give up more.
Yeah, OG this season is averaging 18.7 points, 5.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists, shooting 47% from the field and 33% from the three-point line. He's, a favorable contract, $17.3 million this year.
2 more years on the contract, too, right?
18.6 next year. And then there's a player option for 19.9.
The beautiful thing about getting a guy like him, he's so young, the favorable contract, 2 more years, you know what I mean? So financially or monetary wise, you don't have to give up that much to match. You know what I mean? So we could theoretically, now we're talking about, like we were saying with the DeRozan, a Fournier and a Cam and 2 firsts. To me, that's a steal, and I do it. You know what I mean?
OG,
but I don't know.
You said Cam, Fournier, and 2 firsts. It probably is. You know what I mean?
To me, listen, that's a steal, and I do it.
If you want them, you're going to have to give up some of those. If you want OG without giving up RJ, you're going to have to give up picks to do
it. I might even do 3, to be honest.
You're going to have
like
to
one
give
protected,
up
2 on.
And then, you talk about depth. You got nice, if you're able to add them and keep RJ, you got really, you increased your depth. You made your defense better. You know what I mean? You brought in someone who can either start, come off the bench, however Tom Thibodeau decides to do it. But, you bring a 20-point scorer in off the bench either way, most likely.
And a defensive stopper. You know what I mean? Like that second unit, you could just hand him the keys. Boom.
Do
everything in
and
that
may be
unit.
Something that's still out there, because the front office is always going to be looking for ways to make a move. That could be something that's definitely still out there. I don't know what Toronto would want. They may want to get off of that money altogether, which if they
we could do it with Rose too and make it work.
Now you can definitely do it with Rose and make it work. Rose and Cam,
and then you buy him out, whatever. He go to Chicago because I don't think he could come back to here, like this year.
Afterwards. Right. You could definitely do it with Rose, Cam, and picks.
And to me, if you're doing that, now you could stand your ground on some picks. You know what I mean? Because now you're not. You just getting underneath the you know what I mean? Like you shedding all the money, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So now we're helping you in that way. Let's take one of them picks back. You know what I mean?
But Masai Ujiri, he's
True.
but he's not like Danny Ainge. He's not like jerkish. Should I say?
My thing, he'll take advantage of stupidity. But he ain't gonna, you know what I mean? He ain't gonna coerce you into
and he ain't gonna hold grudges against you. Like, nah, I'm not gonna deal with you because I don't like you, or you know what I'm saying. He's just gonna do whatever he thinks is best for his organization. I think, you know what I'm saying.
But to Zach, what's his name? Zach Lowe. To his point, he didn't say this, but I'm saying if the Knicks are gonna do it, y'all need to keep calling now. Keep calling right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because once the opportunity is out there, or once everybody knows, now the league wants them.
Right.
You know what I mean? At that value, at that price, you know what I mean? So again, now we might start going back to 3 picks again. You know what I mean? Because there's competition. They may get a valued player and some picks offered where now we got to compete. Like a Miami. I could definitely see Miami, giving up whatever picks they have, and like especially where they are right now, trying to reach back into that playoff picture. So the league is gonna be interested in him. So we gotta make. We might have to overpay.
Right.
We might have to give up 3.
Right. I guess the scary thing is, do you think giving up those 3, giving up those picks, does that set you up to where, you know, you figure, you know, this team gels together, we can be a contender with this group. Let's set you
I
up that way.
believe it does because I think we've seen our bench is solid right now, right? So if we're not touching our bench, our starters are solid right now. If we're not touching our starters, and now we have a solidified guy that could just man literally what we're talking about. We're not. We didn't even mention if Quickly's gone. You know what I mean? So if Quickly's still here, and you got an OG next to Quickly, you know what I mean? That's a solid foundation in the second unit that could compete with first units. You know what I mean? So again, we ain't talk about if we gotta move Obi or not in that move. You know what I mean? So depending on how we get him, if we're keeping one of Obi or Quickly, and then you know it's Rose and the picks. Yeah, I think we can. I think we can. It's no superstar per se, but solid. Well, solid on both sides. First unit, second unit.
Yeah.
Both ends of the floor.
And you see Josh. Josh in the chat said, so y'all are willing to give up 3 picks for Anunoby, but not for Levine.
Two-way player.
You know, that I think that's the big difference between Levine and Anunoby is that he's a two-way player. Won a championship, right? I mean, obviously he wasn't the main guy, but he's got that kind of pedigree behind him. You know what I'm saying? He's been on a team that won a championship.
And a cheaper so if you talk about bang per dollar, it's an easy decision.
Yeah, you're not paying 40. You're not paying $40 million a year for him. You're paying, you know, at the most 19 if he takes the player option in that last year. So now you still have more money to add more depth to your team if you need it.
And if you keep him and max him, I don't think he maxes out getting 40. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he gets the super max. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So you even on the re-sign value is going to be cheaper than Levine. So, yes.
Yeah, we'll see how that. You know, see, I don't even know if the Raptors are willing to move him for real. You know, it's a rumor that's out there. You know, but at this point, I don't think there's any real movement on him being traded. You know what I mean? Obviously, it came out that the Knicks reached out, but that's just the Knicks reaching out. I don't know if there's any movement on him really being on the trade market. Yeah, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh, I was gonna say you're right. It's the Knicks reached out. You know what I mean? They inquired. It's not that the Raptors are shopping him, but that's the thing. If once they start making calls, you gotta hope you're on the list. You know what I mean? Because we reached out first, and again, I don't mind overpaying for a young, two-way, defensive first-minded, but getting better offensively. I don't mind paying for that.
Yeah.
Like, I have less question marks about OG than I did about Mitchell, to be honest, because of that fit and that defensive end.
Yeah. And I see Uncle Fulio say, you know, Levine is worth it, saying the $40 million. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I would still say getting a guy that averages 18 a game and plays on both sides of the ball, can shoot the three, and is getting better on both sides of the ball for $20 million a year, and you still have more money to add. And obviously, if you needed to trade for a bigger star, he's going to be a tradable, very, very tradable contract. You know what I'm saying? You know, you get, you know, I mean, you know, you now have way more in the cupboard and the ability to make moves, you know, the ability to really bring in a star if that's what you have to do at some point because of his contract. And people are going to look and say he's worth more than his contract as a player. Are people going to say that Zach LaVine is worth more than his contract?
Especially with injury concerns throughout his career And, the same argument that people like to throw at me about certain other players, what has he proven? You know what I mean? Like what has he won? Where has he carried his team? So,
yeah, I don't know. We'll see if it's even really ends up being a possibility or not. Who knows where the Toronto Raptors are heading? What their plans are for getting better in the future right now. Right? Clearly right now they got Scotty Barnes, who's a young guy, but they got a lot of vets on that team, and they're not really going anywhere. You know what I mean? They may be looking to say, hey, let's rebuild, but OG might be one of the guys that they want to be rebuild with. You know what I mean? So, anyway.
That's a fact.
Yeah. What's your predictions on tonight's game, though? Because I'm about to head to basketball practice. I got to be there at 3:15.
Knicks win. Grind it out. 97-103.
Okay.
6 by 6.
Okay.
Another team under 100 points.
Yeah, I think the Knicks win, but I think it's going to be a grind out game. I don't know the score, but I think it's going to be a tough grinded out type of game. You know what I mean? Grinded out game. It's going to be a battle. But this is how a team gets battle tested, right? You fight through these battles, and we can watch OG play tonight. See if he's somebody that Josh thinks is worth of trading for. You know what I mean? But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a short show, and I know some of my game previews have been short because I got to go to basketball practice and all of that. My girls flipped the script on me. We were supposed to be practicing at 5. Then they want to go to support the boys. So I said, okay, we don't have a game for a little while. So we said, okay, we'll practice at 3:30. I got to be up there at 3:15. So
you dropping them off too?
I'm not dropping them off. They tried to get me to drop them off. They tried to get me to get the van and take them. I'm like, wait a minute, I got to be back at home at a certain time. I'm not doing all that. I'm already changing practice for you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? They tried, though. They tried. They tried. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Catch me on the post-game show tonight. Up out of here, folks. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.